start off, I don't really know how to process what I've just watched. Personally, I'd say that the first half of all that was extremely middle of the road, mid, if you like. And the second half was very, very good until a certain point, and then after that certain point, it got a lot better. So where do I really begin with this? The Giggle is probably the worst special of the three. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it is very much so the worst special of the three, which is a shame, being the regeneration story that it is. And speaking of the regeneration, we will get onto that very soon. But let's start from the beginning, the cold open. A very good setup for the story. We get the fact that the Toymaker is here, and it is definitely him right from the beginning. We also get the invention of the television, which is setting the stage for the rest of the story, in that the entire human race has been driven basically feral, with their primal instincts finally coming out, with them all thinking that they're correct and right all the time. Bit like conspiracy theorists, which I'm sure that's a proper jab at, all because of a television signal from 1925 that's finally gone global due to some South Korean satellite. And of course, UNIT can't fix this problem because international problems. It always seems to be the downfall of UNIT, is, we can't do this because Geneva says so, and it's always the international problems, whereas UNIT just needs to get it done. But then the Doctor decides, you know what, do it anyway, because I think the Doctor still counts as President of the world, so can give authorization, which is a very nice nod to the Peter Capaldi era. Immediately, one of the things that we notice is that Avengers Tower has been bought out by UNIT. It wasn't the Fantastic Four, it wasn't Reed Richards, it was in fact UNIT. Of course, a nice joke to throw in there. But of course, Kate Stewart is back, as well as Melanie Bush, who is a character that hasn't appeared since the 1980s, and was actually stuck in the far future. I've talked about this in New Beginnings, but if you haven't watched that or don't really know too much about Mel herself. Mel goes off on adventures with the guy that she references, being Sabalong Glitz, and then is never heard from again. She never reappears in the show because that's what happens to companions in the classic series. But this time, she says that she's just gotten a lift from, I don't remember the name of the species, but she's gotten a lift from some alien and gotten back. I don't really know how the time travel element plays into this. I doubt that they'll mention that, but the wiki will have a field day. And also on the fact that the Toymaker says best out of 3. Or the Doctor says best out of 3. And he says 2023. Now, if Rose is 15, and they were born in 2010, that would have been 2025. So I'm not too sure about how we can go back to 2023 as the present day, but I'm sure some explanation might come out of it, though I do heavily doubt it. Now, there is, of course, the appearance of one more character for a small cameo, and that's Trinity Wells, a character that we haven't seen since the end of time. It was really nice to see that Russell had decided to re-include them into the story after such a long time, because 13 years is a bloody long while. Of course, Mel hasn't appeared since the 80s, but it's good to see that such a minor character has finally returned. Now, let's talk about the Toymaker, a character that hasn't appeared since 1966, so an incredibly long time since they've actually been in the show. Now, the reason that the Toymaker now is, instead of speaking in a British accent, and speaking in an Austrian and then slipping into American as their default accent, I guess you could say, is because the first Doctor originally defeated him by mimicking his accent, mimicking his British accent, his voice, to trick the board game that he was playing into thinking that it was the Toymaker who commanded it, because why would the Toymaker need to move pieces when they can command atoms to do whatever they want? So that's why they keep changing it. I mean, it's never outright stated, but it's a theory that is more than likely fact. The Toymaker seems to be such a silly character, but really when you watch it, they're so incredibly creepy. Sitting there thinking, why is this character dancing around, when really at the touch of a finger they can evaporate someone, turn them into bouncy balls, and leave them screaming inside of them. It's just absolutely incredible how this character can be so stupid, so ridiculous, but convey such unending power. Now, there's a lot of references in this, and this special is jam-packed with references to old things. The Key to Time. Mavik Chen gets a mention for some reason. The Guardians of Time, which the Toymakers shrunk down. And, of course, the Master, who became the Toymaker's gold tooth. And at the end of the episode, the Master in tooth form is taken by some unseen figure. We always see is their hand, and a laugh is heard. If you didn't know, this is actually a reference to Flash Gordon, where the character, the titular villain, Ming the Merciless, his ring is picked up at the end of the film by some unseen figure, and then a laugh happens. Now, because there was no Flash Gordon 2, this is never expanded upon, and I don't know if this is the case, but it's also seemingly a double reference, in that the Master's ring in Utopia was taken, though albeit posthumously it was mentioned in The End of Time, taken again and then revived. So I don't know if this is RTD's master plan of the Master eventually coming back, but we'll see if it's Sacha Dhawan or something else. The Toymaker is, of course, the embodiment of every single game. They are the creator of every game in all of history, yet they're beaten by the first game they ever created, a ball game. It's so simple, but the fact that they are beaten by the very first thing they created is just really poetic. It's nice to see. Which of course leads us to the bi-regeneration. This is something that's never actually appeared in Doctor Who before, and as the 15th Doctor says, is just a myth within the Doctor Who universe. But in real life, someone has actually predicted this before, being the YouTuber Davis. He made a What I Would Do with Doctor Who video where he had the idea for having two separate Doctors. The Doctor regenerates and two separate Doctors appear, but the audience doesn't know which one's real. Of course, RTD's had his own spin on this, where both Doctors are real and both are living completely separate lives. Does this mean that the 14th Doctor will return? It's very likely. Will they have a lot of adventures? I do doubt it. As the Doctor says, they just want to sit there and relax for a bit. Finally slow down, because it is true that we watch all of these episodes of Doctor Who and the Doctor never stops. They never slow down. Of course, there's mention of staying with River for, 12 years, which is a night. And then, of course, we've got Trenzalore, which is well on 900 years, but it's constant action. The Doctor really never, ever stops to just sit down and think, why am I here? Why am I doing this? It's really nice to see that we finally address something like this, and that the 15th Doctor can go on all these adventures without all the baggage of the former Doctor. I think I see why Russell has said that this episode in particular will mess with a lot of fans and make them very annoyed, because essentially what Russell is saying is that this 15th Doctor is like a brand new Doctor. Without the baggage of 1 to 14, it's just a brand new character in many ways that just shares the old one. A proper regeneration of the show. Speaking of the 15th Doctor, why did they not give him some trousers? I understand that Ncuti Gatwa is a very, very beautiful man, very handsome man, very nice to look at, but really, no trousers? Very odd. I did expect Ncuti Gatwa would be a bit more energetic, though. Of course, this is his first story, brand new to the role, but after seeing him in Sex Education, where he was such a crazy and energetic character, and really, really good to watch, I really would like to see some more energy out of him. The lines seem to be a tad bit stale, but I'm sure that in Christmas and onwards he'll really settle into the role and become the Doctor, properly. In terms of regeneration stories, though, I feel like this is one of the most mundane. It doesn't really feel like something grand. He just showed up, played a ball game, split the TARDIS in two, and didn't really have this grand moment of, oh my god, this is the new Doctor. It was just kind of, yeah, this is the Doctor, let's keep going with the story. No moment to just think, oh my god, this is the Doctor. If you get what I mean. You might not. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on the episode. If you enjoyed this reaction, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below, as it really helps the channel. If you're new to the channel, then I recommend checking out some of my other videos. I've done reviews, reactions, unboxings, and best of all, my history videos, where I take a deep dive into certain sections of Doctor Who lore and explain what they're all about. I've also got a few shorts on that, if that's what you're more interested in. But as always, thanks for watching.